What if I told you that this chord and this chord were similar enough that you could probably play the same melody over both and get away with it? Well, you can. I'll explain why. I was listening to the Atelier Totori soundtrack the other day, and I came across this song that I've heard many times, but I've never really tried to analyze before. There's this one part of the song with a melody that sounds like it was written for a 4-5-3-6 progression, which is a very common progression in a lot of Japanese music. I did a video on it. It should, if you want to check that out, it's here somewhere. The chords were completely different than what I expected, but the melody still worked, and I wanted to figure out why. Here's the B section to the song. About 38 seconds in, we've got this 4-5-3-6 progression followed by a turnaround using some secondary dominants to kind of make our way back to the 4 chord. Everything's pretty normal here, but about a minute and 13 seconds in, we're hit with a key change and a melody that sounds like it was meant for that progression, but the chords are completely different. Or are they? I took the 2 chord progressions, changed the key of the first one so that they're both in the same key, put the same melody over both, and it worked. I took the liberty of changing the last chord from a minor chord to a major chord, otherwise that last note would have clashed, but aside from that, it's remarkable how well it still fits. For comparison's sake, here's the melody and chords as they appear a minute and 13 seconds into the song. The point that I'm trying to make is that this second chord progression was derived from the first one. When you use one chord in place of another, it's called a chord substitution. Hopefully you're at least somewhat familiar with these. For example, you might know that the 2 and 4 chords of a major key are basically interchangeable because of the notes that they share. Because of shared notes. Let's look at those 2 progressions again. Both progressions start out on a 4 major 7 chord. In this case, since I'm analyzing all of it from D flat, a G flat major 7 chord. Next, we have either an A flat 7 or an F half diminished. They're very different chords, but they share 2 notes, A flat and E flat. Next, we have F minor 7 or F flat major 7. You might think those are completely different chords, but they actually have 2 notes in common, which also happen to be A flat and E flat. Next one's a bit of a stretch. B flat minor 7 versus E flat half diminished. These chords only have 1 note in common, and that's D flat. But it's an important note to both chords, and the melody utilizes it. I could go on about why this exact progression was chosen and explain some other reasons why it flows so well, but the point that I'm trying to get at is that all of these chords share at least 1 note, most of them share 2 or more, and those shared notes are the ones that the melody is depending on to make it work. This is a really exciting concept to me. Using out-of-key chords can be difficult sometimes if you don't understand each one's function. You might already know some common ones, like how the flat 6 chord can substitute for the 4 chord in a major key because of the similarity of notes. But you can come up with some really unique stuff and totally original chord progressions just by taking simple ones that you're already familiar with and adding out-of-key notes to the chords already present, or borrowing some of the notes from the chords that are already there and making new chords out of them. I hope none of this confuses you too much. The example I showed today is pretty out there, but it just goes to show how much you can do with some basic alterations. I've been thinking about this idea a lot lately, and it's really starting to open up new worlds in my own songwriting, and I hope it does for you as well. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments or email me at ongakuconcept@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.